So again, welcome everybody. Today we're going to talk about the journey that ASDA's gone through with RFID. Again, why don't you, Kirsty and Nathan, introduce yourself and your responsibilities at ASDA.
Hi everyone, I'm Kirsty Buxton. I work in the George transformation team and I'm accountable for the delivery of RFID and any new initiatives we look forward to in the future.
Good morning everyone. My name is Nathan Jennings. I am the Senior Director of Transformation at George at ASDA. I've been working for ASDA for about 15 years now, so the last 6 or 7 years my job has been how do we really start to transform the base systems at ASDA. And now we've done that, we're now trying to understand how do we really leverage those new underpinning systems for new technologies such as RFID, and how do we really start to add value for the ASDA business.
Great. And Nathan, what were the compelling reasons about moving from a SKU level system to an item level RFID system inside the business of George?
So George has had a long-term opportunity with availability, and a lot of that has been driven about the way that we've grown. So George has been part of the Walmart family for many, many years now, but unfortunately we've never really been able to leverage Walmart systems. So we've always had to have slightly different systems which interact with the mains, but wherever we've made these compromises, unfortunately those compromises result in availability choices. And unfortunately we've not always been able to drive the availability that we would like to into stores. So we can see that in our own numbers, so we were aware of what was happening in the business, but it's very difficult to understand. But we also know that our customers' feedback was that availability was their number one thing that they'd like us to improve upon so that they've got size availability when they walk into our stores.
How is it impacting them? I mean, from a standpoint of the George business as a whole? Yeah.
So
how is it impacting the George business and the customers directly?
Yeah, so I think when you look at the feedback initially from the stores, is we talk to the colleagues about how are they using it, how are they needing to deploy the guided counters and all the functionality. And actually they don't need to use it as much as we thought. The great thing about RFID is it means that that product that should be on the shop floor is there all the time. So that one-way availability of stock going through shop floor is really transformational for the business.
Great. And continuing on that vein, basically, what were some of the hard and soft benefits that were found in the last year of deploying?
I mean, it's clear that this was really the business case was based on sales. So we did a really a thorough piece of work with Newton back almost 10 years ago now to understand the bottlenecks of availability in the business. And when we did that work, we really identified areas of availability which is in our own remit to fix. And it is that we targeted RFID to do. So we ran, as you know, Dean, many trials over the last 10 years. And actually everything that we thought we could deliver, we did deliver on both the POCs, the trials, and now right through to delivery. Yeah.
That's great. So Kirsty, describe some of the responses from the different stakeholders in the business from an ownership standpoint.
So I think it's fair to say RFID has been the biggest piece of strategic change the George business has seen in the last 10 years. So I think it's fair to say that it's been overwhelmingly positive responses we've had in terms of the deployment, not only from a George point of view, but certainly from the wider ASDA business, from the exec down. And what it started to show us, it started to uplift the interest in the RFID infrastructure and technology. We've had a lot of questions already from other areas of the business wanting to understand how the benefits of RFID can support their business as they move forward.
Let me show the video.
Yeah,
I mean, the picture. Yeah, maybe you can describe it. See?
So I think this slide speaks for itself if we talk about store adoption. So the importance of engagement is paramount on this journey. From a head office point of view, you can see here, these are all the social media channels that we have in each of our individual stores. And it's fair to say, given the challenge of us being, the biggest strategic change that we've seen in the last 10 years, the colleagues really have embraced the technology. We've started to see good shoots in terms of compliance, in terms of consistency and process-driven execution. And then from a head office point of view, I think the wealth of data that RFI gives your business is very overwhelming to start with, but ultimately it's now enforcing and making us make more informed decisions at every point of our operating model processes. So, for example, more intelligent buy-in, size profiling, store grading, and also more, accurate in terms of replenishment and allocation to our stores.
So we can, just to go on from that. So ASDA's got a real clear value and the direction for the business that we will be a data-driven business going forward.
Yeah.
And RFID is absolutely driving that. So since deploying RFID, we've seen great results of the sales in store. But since then, every area, every department of our business is starting to use this RFID information. We're solving supply chain problems with it. We're highlighting shrink issues with it. It really is a wealth of information at the business. And at the heart, we're trying to grow this data-driven culture at ASDA through our data science teams. And actually, this is really empowering that information through into the store.
Yeah, I mean, commenting from a vendor standpoint, solution provider, we watch the ASDA team really embrace that and really focus on using the data to, one, learn more about your business, and number two, learn about maybe there are areas to improve it. So one more question to both of you, just, RFID is a technology, but it's used by people.
Yeah.
And I think the social media posts that you have are good examples of that. But maybe both of you could comment on kind of what that journey looked like, as we see with other retailers, the journey of taking a team from never doing a stock count to now doing stock counts weekly or whatever the frequency is, and for them going through that emotional transition of saying this is more work or it's not, or a benefit. Can you share a little bit about that?
I think realistically, as I say, it's the biggest strategic change that George have seen in the last 10 years. So there was some hesitation in a lot of colleagues, but because we made the solution so simplistic for our teams to use, they absolutely thrive on it. And it also now becoming competitions within regions, within divisions, in terms of performance factors. We've set ourselves some key metrics that we benchmark our stores against in terms of they get regular reporting on a weekly basis, and basically they like to ensure that they're not the bottom of their region or division. The importance now, they've really, I can't stress enough how they have engaged this technology. But when it's like using an iPhone, that's how we really sold it in. The fact that it's as simple, if you can use an iPhone, you can use this RFID technology, and it seems to have done the job.
And I think that there's a key point in what Kirsty said there, and it's about simplification. So rather than just try and put RFID on our existing business, we tried to understand before we deployed it, where do we need to simplify? How do we make our business simple? How do we make the outputs of this business simple so it's easy to digest, easy to create action? And I think it's really landed incredibly well. We've got right from the stores all the way through up to senior leadership really using this data.
And you guys had gone through a transition at the same time of coming out of Walmart, which was interesting to observe from the inside. And that transition was also added to the complexity of what you guys were trying to do. So,
yeah.
And no comment needed because you lived through it. So we'll leave that. From a standpoint of, if there's retailers in the audience that are going through this journey, and what are 2 to 3 things you would encourage them to look at based on your lessons learned? So
I'll start with that one. So for me, is to have a clear packaging strategy. That is the biggest fundamental thing that you need to get right on this journey. So for me, it was important we took the opportunity to streamline our packaging. Obviously, we had multiple tickets and stickers, hundreds of different variations. So we actually streamlined it to use the best performing inlays and reduced it down from 60 to 3 different ticket sizes. But it's the importance of making that moment in time and switching from old references, removing them from any system and putting in the new references. And what that does, it's mitigated any risk of stock arriving in from source that's incorrectly tagged. So for me, that was one of our biggest achievements. And we've seen no material impact in terms of stock arriving from source, it's fair to say. So I'm really delighted with us taking that approach, and I would recommend anyone starting on this journey that they do really consider that as an option.
Yeah, I completely echo the point of simplification that I think we've already gone over. I think there's another point of simplification of how are you going to use it when it gets in. RFID does an incredible job at giving you accurate PI, but then how do you use the outputs? You will find information about your business that you didn't know before. Think about what's going to come out. How do we talk? How do you talk through your leadership, through your operational teams, etc., and how are you really going to embed new processes to take action on the information that you see?
Yeah, I think from an outsider that ultimately we were inside, is you guys did something that we've really encouraged, and that is you had one team working both the packaging and the solution at the same time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't two different organizations kind of pulling in their own direction.
Yeah.
And I think it really helped because the packaging, RFID tagging side of this was immediately aligned with the use cases that you wanted to use in the store.
Yeah.
And just from a comment standpoint, another encouragement is do those things together.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you've deployed in close to 500 stores. You got people using the technology every day. You got people that are clearly happy, okay, that they're doing better in their store. They're competing with one another.
Yep.
Kind of what's next? I mean, how are you guys looking at using the technology and the visibility it gives you to your processes and so on as you move forward?
So obviously phase one was always around improving our inventory accuracy point of view and also driving on-shelf availability to the customer. I think we can safely say we've got the tick in the box there. So phase two for us is making sure we really embed the basics for RFID, not only in stores but also across our head office teams as well. In addition to that, it's about where do we start to leverage the RFID technology for the future across making, unlocking capabilities and value from the omnichannel and also store-facing environment. So from an omnichannel perspective, we want to unlock buy in line, pick on store. We want to enhance our George offering on our grocery home shopping platform. We also we unlocked the potential, now we've got accurate inventory. We now showcase our store inventory on our website. So if a customer can't get the item they look for, they can search the neighbouring store. I mean, that has been massively received in terms of a 50% uplift in terms of cut through and click throughs to use that feature. I think then from a store facing point of view, we've got some old technology we use for markdown application at the moment. So we're going to leverage the existing RFID devices along with the software components and make the process more simple so we can land and execute markdown much better. In addition, we're going to look at our returns process, so both online and store returns, and how we can actually make that more seamless for the customer journey. In addition to that, we'll work collectively with SML in terms of how do we get to the next level of development on some of our core processes like movement, MTR transfers, movement of stock between stores, between supply chain. So they're the next kind of things that we're really, really going to go after.
Good.
Yes, that's from a George perspective. I certainly see, particularly as we continue with our separation from Walmart, which is a big job as it stands today, but once we're part of that journey, then we can certainly see looking at looking at RFID on different categories across the business as well. I think what I would say is we've absolutely got the store process going down. We're trying to create revenue streams, but what we also need to do now is embed this data as well. I think we've said before, but how do our data teams start to use this? So we fixed the problems of availability in store, but now we're using RFID to tell us where the problems are within our supply chain. So we can really start to really pinpoint accuracy, tell us where our problems are. So we've gone from having one availability number in a week to 7 or 8 different availability numbers, all allocated to different teams to action with actionable progress, so we can understand the impacts of RFID.
Yeah, it's exciting to see you guys have embraced the vision of every place an item touches a process, you think it could add enterprise value, and you're on that journey to try to expand that more. We've got a few minutes before we open it up for questions, but one last question I have is, we've talked about the benefits both to the people, to the business, to how you look at data. Share a little, each of you share basically what exactly are you doing? Are you doing counts? Are you doing receiving, replenishment?
Yep.
Help them get a little bit more practical with the audience about how you're using the technology today.
So from a George perspective, there's 5 fundamental processes that we use in store to maintain inventory accuracy and location accuracy. First one being stock counts. We do a weekly count. It's a compulsory count that happens every Sunday before the store opens. And it's safe to say that has been the best compliance rate that we've seen. They embrace that significantly from the beginning. And we're seeing regularly over 98% plus week in, week out in terms of our compliance metric there. In addition to that, we're also receiving our deliveries in using RFID. So we're taking our expected quantity in our shipping note, and then we're receiving against that. So for both the weekly count and the delivery, we're actually making those plus or minus adjustments in real time to our master record of inventory. So we're keeping our inventory well maintained and accurate at all times. In addition to that, we're using a move functionality. So we let the system know every time we move stock from the back room to the shop floor and vice versa. This just helps, obviously, with the next two processes that we do. So we do targeted replenishment. But by having, it's the first time in George's history it's ever had location visibility by back room and shop floor. And this allows us to then drive targeted replenishment from the back room to the front of house. So basically, sales are coming in. The software is intelligent enough to know what's in the back, and it will bring it forward onto a targeted pick list. In addition to that, we've got a soft benefit called Stock Explorer. This allows colleagues with confidence to answer customer queries when they're looking for items in store. Not only can they see in real time what's available in their store and what location it's in, they can also search any other store within the country and see the same level of information.
Great. Anything to add, Nathan?
No, I think she's got it all there.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more. That is, you guys use George's. How many units a year is sold, roughly?
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions, right? And so clearly, the tag cost that goes on every item has been able to be overcome by the benefits. Correct? We hear that a lot about, well, the tags cost too much, but the reality is the benefit of sales and so on were easily justify the investment on the tags and so forth. Okay, good. I'm going to stop there and see if there are any questions from the audience. And if you could state your name, that would be helpful. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. My name is Tanya. I'm a founder of Sycon. We connect garments to post-consumer services. And I'm wondering if you guys are already looking at connecting the garments you're selling to, reuse, recycling, etc. through RFID. And how are you thinking about this? Thank you.
So we've obviously DPP is something that's coming down the road for all clothing products, textiles, etc. So we are looking into DPP solutions now, and we're starting to bring these together. So how can we create a permanent record of that garment, and what it's made of, what the life of that garment has been. And we are starting to, how do we bring RFID and DPP together through use of QR codes, so that's permanently embedded on the clothing, so we can really talk to the customer about the credentials of the product that we're selling. Is that, yeah. Okay.
Behind you.
Thank you. So this is Rana from UWorks, so we're a retail tech company. But my question was, if we're putting RFID tags on hundreds of millions of products, cost goes up, but what's the impact of that on environment and emissions, and the carbon, net zero?
So we, from a position of recyclability, the tag is still the same tag, so we're applying the sticker to the tag. So we are looking to work with SML about what the long-term future of that tag looks like, and how do we get greater transparency of what's in that, and how do we get it to a fully recyclable tag.
And I would add that what we're seeing is, while we talk about the environmental impact of the tag, we've got retailers that are in this room that have taken 10% of inventory out of their supply chain while they increase their sales. One retailer took 400 shipping containers out of inventory every year while they increased their sales. So we talk about environmental impact. We need to add to that how better inventory management, all the way back to the factories in Vietnam and Bangladesh, and shipping and everything. As a way for us, we're trying to open up the way we think about sustainability using this technology.
Hi, thank you so much, Nathan and Kirsty, for sharing us your experience and insights. My question is about this RFID technology is being used, right? It's mainly being used at the stores level, also being used on the customer side, where people are able to use this data to know some products which are not available at one of the stores. They can find this product in another store. I want to know, how successful have you been to get this data being useful for the customers? Because I myself am a consumer. I'm buying stuff from different markets, and I don't find many of the products in the store. So do you really kind of check how much of this service is being used by the consumers or the data? Because still doesn't mean to be like it's there, but the data is there, the services are there. But I don't find it so helpful to find whether the product is there or not. And I think this needs to be improved a lot. What do you think about this?
I don't know if you can measure it, can you? I can't. To be honest, I don't know if you can measure the actual usage of Stock Explorer in store, but certainly, the colleagues in store do find this as a real game changer in terms of being able to assist with customer queries as they move forward. Because ultimately, years before we introduced RFID, it would be, no, we don't have it. But they now have a level of confidence. They've got a technology in front of them that can tell them at the touch of a button to say, we do have it in the front and in the back of house, which would drive the incremental sale.
We're seeing across the board, consumers are basically seeing the impact because they get online and they go to an ASDA website, and the probability of confidence is significantly higher knowing that inventory table for online has actually been updated with a count that was done on Sunday. Okay, and so there's a real customer satisfaction component that goes into this as well.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. I'm happy to know about it, what you're doing with the RFID tags. By the way, I'm Nadeem. I'm also from a retailer, Aldi, and I'm happy to see you and hear you. Thank you.
Hi, so my name's Katie Schofield. I just wanted to know, in terms of store engagement, which you've touched on, how did you focus the biggest training style to onboard people onto that journey, and what were the biggest challenges that you faced?
I would say don't underestimate the size of the job in hand. We were fortunate enough to have regional change coaches who were able to deliver our training. So myself and my team were able to execute the training to our model stores. And obviously then every store within that region came to their model store for training. But I would also suggest that it's keeping them abreast of everything that's going on, week in, week out, regular updates. Also, the size of what was coming was significant. Everything had to have a tag, and our rollout was significantly aggressive. We actually went from source tagging to going live within 9 months. So we had an awful lot of carryover stock that we had to tag. So we had to prepare our stores for that journey as well, and we overlaid hours to make sure they were trained. We gave them enough experience and hands-on technology training beforehand. But yeah, it's one thing that I would never underestimate from an engagement point of view.
I will say that every project that we've had that's been wildly successful has taken on this champions approach where you have champions by region. Okay, Tesco started with that, but we've seen that across the board, including ASDA, where you have people that are motivated and champions, enthusiasts about the technology, and they're carrying that forward.
Hi, I'm Natasha. I work at Zulka. I'm just keen to know how you could tie RFID in with a single customer view. It may, is that helping for personalization? Is there, what's next, and is that possible?
Personalisation, we're not at that point as yet, are we?
So part of ASDA is looking at that. So we do have our ASDA team, which is looking at personalisation, but that is looking at ASDA-wide. So at the moment, our RFID tags are just on George at the moment, so we will be able to make sure that we improve that data, but realistically, that's a slightly separate use case, but that's the central business, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi there, I'm George Clark, I'm a digital consultant. It's actually not a question, it was just the answer to that chap's question. I've been through a similar program myself, and I think the benefit that you guys will see, which I have seen, is the increase in volume of available stock for customers at one point. So if you're on your digital platform, you've got one single pool of stock at your warehouse with a number of sizes that may not be available. All of a sudden you've got availability for all of your stores, and the volume of stores you've got is absolutely huge. And we saw, I was at Mulberry at the time, and we saw sales quadruple, right? And availability of stock was phenomenal from opening up all the stock that's available in all of our stores. That was all I just wanted to answer that. It would have annoyed me if I hadn't said anything. Forgive me.
Thank you.
But unbelievable job you guys are doing, because it's huge, absolutely huge.
Hi, my name's Shelley. Thanks for the presentation. I was interested in the implementation of it. So you mentioned it was one team that looked after the packaging through to the implementation. I was curious how you worked with the tech teams, or whether the transformation team sort of took this from end to end.
So there was the direct transformation team, so me and my direct team, and we had bolt-ons to that. So we had secondments from packaging, from distribution, from technology. So we all worked collectively on the programme, hadn't picked the right people to do the right job, but it was very much we all went on the journey together. So we didn't have any pinch points where we lost people along the way. We've been consistent in our approach, having the same people on the same route, haven't we, to been able to deliver everything that we've delivered to date.
I think that's about having the right people at the right time, isn't it? Slowly bringing the stores on board,
Yeah.
And I would share from a supplier standpoint, you guys had multiple suppliers on tags. You had us on software. You had Zebra on hardware. And I think you guys embraced and pulled us all into that same team. So the communication that was driven by Kirsty and her team was a significant element of making this thing work. Okay, we were part of one team working it together. So, okay, I think I've got 30 seconds left. Last question. So you guys are deploying what technology in the store? You guys have got what?
Oh, the RFD 500 sled and
So
the TC52.
So handheld sled and an RFID Android and RFID device from Zebra.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yep, thank you.